Hi everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Pitstop Fracas. I am your host Anik and we're here to review the Brazilian Grand Prix where George Russell picked up his first win for Mercedes, and boy did they celebrate late into Sunday night. We're here to talk all things Formula One, and I got Richard, I got Chris, and I got a brand new guest on the show, Laurence. Let me go to the regulars. Richard, how you keeping, brother?
I'm all right, bro. I'm not too bad. Been a pretty great weekend in terms of Formula One, to be fair. Maybe argue the best weekend of the whole calendar. You know, until like August, he doesn't really disappoint in it. He always comes up with surprises and comes up with great racing. So I'm glad we got another classic this weekend. But yeah, I'm not too bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. I fell down the stairs yesterday.
What? Because George crossed the line, and then you knew how to pay up.
I actually fell down the stairs and I busted my knee. But it may or may not have had something to do with George crossing the line. But
you was there just, and I fell down to my knees. Okay.
I'm expecting a bit of sympathy. I'm expecting
sympathy. What? Look, I'm just glad this bet's over. That's all I'm gonna say.
I've got my walking stick here. I've got my walking stick. So everyone that's on camera and join us on YouTube, I have my walking stick. This is no joke. I'm seriously injured. Like, for one, can we just chill out on the Twitter with all the quotes, or the quote tweets and the comments? And Nam, if you are listening, actually, if you're watching on YouTube, please, bro, you know, you'll get your gift. It might be, you know, Carver or something, but yeah, you'll get your gift. Yeah, as a bit of background to that, myself and Nam made a bet earlier in the year that if Mercedes got a win, I would buy him a bottle of bubbly, and the bubbly being Carver. He seems to. Sorry, my walking stick just fell. I'm going to have to struggle to pick it up now. But yeah, Nam seems to think it's champagne, but no, it's Prosecco or Carver. Anyway, whilst I waffle on, Chris, you sat there, a little smile on your face. How you keeping?
Big smile, big smile. I came just for the occasion, you know. I had this t-shirt locked away for the whole entire season, waiting for this moment. Like,
look at it. Can you just talk us through the t-shirt? So for audio listeners, you've got George Russell there.
From karting up to his Mercedes seat for all the years. So like karting, F3, GP2, F2, then in Williams, and now in the Mercedes. Like, the come up, bruv, the struggle, the grind. Because, you know, as the people in the rest of the class would know, man's been backing George for forever, bruv. I remember last year we were doing Max and Leclerc shouts, in the group chat, and I brought up Russell's name and got laughed at the club, bruv. We're almost there, bruv. We're almost there.
Yeah, nice to hear it. Coconut Chris is back. You were waiting for this moment, weren't you? So I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for George. I really, really mean that. Let's move on to our special guest, Laurence. How are you keeping, brother?
Yes, thank you. Firstly, for inviting me on. Obviously, short notice, but I'm very grateful to be on. I'm good. I'm fantastic, actually, for the viewers out there. I'm just.
Oh. Got a little bucket hat matching Chris. Then he's got 63 engraved on it as well.
I'm great. I'm great.
That's good, man. Things we like to hear. What we do with all our guests on the show, we ask them a little bit about themselves, their little F1 story, why you're so into it. So yeah, do you wanna fire away?
Yeah. So I'm initially Ferrari fan, then was McLaren, then just turned into straight Lewis fan, but Lewis and Lando are my guys. I guess any bit of history, I raced Lando Norris in karts many years ago now. Obviously I wasn't anywhere near that level, but yeah, so I do that a lot in my spare time. So I like to think I'm a fairly average judgment of racing incidents, as I'm sure we'll get onto.
No, nice to hear, Laurence. Yeah, in case you didn't know, I'm actually the fastest man at pit stop. Because we're a little karting session.
Bro.
we actually had a little karting session a few months ago, and I am actually the fastest man at pit stop. So, yeah, I
You also
suppose I need
caused a
to
red
take
flag.
caused a red flag. No, I didn't. I was
Damn,
trying to
you-
avoid.
You're so
shining
lucky,
like your son.
yeah. The woman didn't put the camera on my helmet, yeah, so I could, because I had it in 4K. He was underneath the tire barriers, yeah, just lifted up the entire tire barrier, tires all over the place.
I had to get out of the car and put the tires back on the side.
Bruv, he drives like Leclerc, bruv. It's either fast or he's been in it, like, and you're like, what on earth?
Laurence, you drove with Lando Norris as well. Did you know that he'll be that much of a terrorist, the same way he was on the first lap with Leclerc? Was that characteristic of Norris? Yeah.
To be fair, yeah. Obviously he's quite far ahead of me, but these lot are aggressive, especially when you're younger. It's not a joke. So he's taken many men out from a young age, which I saw as well. But I was too far at the back, so.
Don't worry about it, man. So Lando, the terrorist, future terrorist on the track. Before anyone takes that comment out of turn. All right, Friday then. Bro, anything can happen. Trust me. Qualifying Friday. K Mag stuck it on pole. Unexpected, weren't it, Chris? What happened there?
Boy, I was on my knees. That was a terrible time. K-Mag stuck it on pole. Mick was last. I was on my knees. I was getting cooked left, right, and center. Yeah, but he did what he needed to do. Like, K-Mag's a good driver. The car heats up its tires well. I can't blame him. George binned it. So, like, you have to go out there and get the lap in. Like, that's how things are in qualifying in those conditions. You go out there, get your laps in, and don't do anything stupid. So he did that and bagged himself a well-deserved P1. Like, he's cooked every time it's been wet conditions or mixed conditions in qualifying. So like in Canada as well, he did really well. And then there's one more race, I forget which one, but in mixed conditions there, he did his thing.
I mean, there wasn't really much to touch on for Q1 and Q2, but I think at the start of Q3, what we saw was that the rain was imminent. And, you know, whenever rain falls on an F1 circuit, it can change conditions completely, change times completely. And just before the Q3 session kicked off, a lot of the teams predicted that there would be rain in sort of the next 2 or 3 minutes, which kind of allowed them to maybe get an out lap done and then get one fast lap on the soft tires. Ferrari, I think I gave up on Friday. Ferrari decided to send their fastest driver out, my boy Charles Leclerc, on intermediates. And he sat there waiting for the green light at the end of the pit lane for Q3 to start. And he's looking in his mirrors and he sees he's the only one on intermediate tyres. He then proceeds to go around on the out lap and the rain hasn't come down. And once he finishes the out lap, you can see that, oh, you know what, I can potentially come into the pits, change for soft tyres, do another out lap, and then do a quick lap. Nope, he goes straight past the pit lane and decides to complete a quick lap. Well, a half-hearted attempt at a quick lap on intermediate tyres, and then decides to come into the pit lane. At which point, George Russell bins it. At which point, all the drivers would have gone round by that point and completed a quick lap. But from Ferrari's point of view, they completely had a howler there by putting Leclerc on that intermediate set. So, Richard, go for it, man. I know you wanted to get this off your chest. You know what? Off air, Richard was like, "Oh, what happened in the qualifying?" I was like, "Oh, not much." Mind you, Ferrari messed up with Leclerc's tires. He was, "Oh yeah, let me talk about that." So, yeah, go on, Richard. I'll let you cook the Maranello boys.
Yeah, I mean, this is just as I said, I think Ferrari is now an entertainment establishment at this point, because I don't understand how a big corporation like Ferrari can get it wrong every single weekend and there's not no repercussions. To be fair, I keep hearing rumors on TMZ that Benotto might get sacked, but it's all air to me. Unless DJ Vlad is confirming, I don't want to know. I can't lie to you. I don't want to know. But yeah, it was just funny. Like, I shout out to the photographer, whoever it was, who managed to get the picture of Charles at the start of the queue in the pit lane, and him just looking back on his mirrors, him on Inces and everyone on slicks, and he's like, "Yeah, It's happened again. They fucked me over. Because obviously Ferrari somehow anticipated that there was going to be rain, I think, in 5-10 minutes time or whatever, by the time Charles meant to go out, and then it didn't happen. And Martin Brundle actually said on commentary, you should go out on the tyres the way the track is now, not what you're anticipating. And that's right. They should have went out on slicks instead of thinking, ooh, I'll try to do big brain and then go out on inters. Next thing you know, he's fucked. Like, he knows it. To be fair, he's fucked. I can't put that on Charles, but because he doesn't have much of a mouth to speak up, this is what's going to happen. Because with Carlos, that wouldn't run. But hey, maybe there's more politics involved that he's allowed to speak up, and maybe that's just his character. But hey, yeah, who knows, innit?
So this is what I've been critical of Leclerc as well this year. Like, he needs to take it on himself to make those decisions. The same thing happened in Hungary when they put him on hard tyres. He could actually make that decision there as well to say, yeah, look, this is this are the tyres I want. In Monaco as well, he could have switched straight from the intermediates to the slicks the same way Sainz was doing it. And also in the British Grand Prix as well. I know there was a tyre issue there that he could have managed. And on Martin Brundle's point, you deal with the track as it is there and then. Like, if you're if you're waiting at the end of the pit lane on soft tyres and it starts chucking it down with rain the moment you leave, then you can just tiptoe your way around, come in, put on a set of intermediates and go again. It just made absolute zero sense to put him on intermediates from the start. It was just an absolute catastrophe. Laurence, happy for K-Mag, yeah? All good? Happy for him?
Yeah, I think just a point. I think we get the same results quite often. We get the same pole sitters. We get the same top three from the same three teams. I think it was just a really nice moment to get someone different, someone completely unexpected. You see what it meant to the whole team. I mean, even, we question what the point of that team is in terms of, they don't get a lot of funding. They're not there challenging. But it showed actually, these guys are here. They are working hard. So I think it was just a good feel-good moment. Actually, that's, to me, is what F1's about, more so than two people going for pole every week. So it was just a really nice feel-good moment. And it felt refreshing, to be fair.
Yeah, it was nice, especially to see the Haas guys on the pit wall, Gunter Stein on the phone, celebrations there. If only Mick could have done a little bit more. Yeah? Yeah, Chris?
Bruv, your guy went out on intermediates on a dry track, bruv. Where's his responsibility? No, because the thing is, we have to start holding Charles accountable, yeah? Damon Hill said himself, you have to hold man accountable. When too many dumb decisions are happening, yeah, you as a driver cannot be like, this makes no sense. Like, I remember a whole tweet, yeah, about Charles Leclerc going faster in wet conditions in 2018 in the Alfa Romeo, yeah, being a thing. And now he's going out on intermediates. Come on, man. There's got to be a point where we hold Charles accountable. Like you said, hold your boy accountable. Don't worry about it.
For that, I've held him accountable. I think he's quick, but I don't think he's got it in him to tell the pit bull, do this and do that. The same way Sainz does. Sainz has got that in him to say, look, guys, we're going to be doing this. Even yesterday in the race, he asked them straight, are we doing a 2-stopper or 3-stopper? And I think he turned around at the time and said, no, he told the team, are we doing a 2-stopper or 3-stopper? Because then he knows how to manage the tyres. And he was a bit firm with, his words there to say, yeah, look, this is what we're going to do. I think that's something Charles needs to develop.
Yeah, because the thing is, his age mates have that ability as well. Because we've seen George speak to the Mercedes guys, we've seen him bad them up, bruv. He'd be like, this is the worst decision you've ever made. Like, you got to talk to these man and let them know that you're a serious guy. Like, everyone's done it. It's only Charles where you just be like, oh, and then he tried to copy Max's phrase and be like, beautiful, effing beautiful, bruv. Make your own lines, bruv. You're copying bars, like.
True. I'm not going to dispute that at all. He needs to have that. He needs to develop that characteristic. And if he don't, then we're just going to can see this happening again and again and again, because Ferrari ain't going to sort it out. And to be honest with you, bro, when I saw that radio, that had the exchange of events of when he was going to come into the pit lane and not, and then the time it took to change those tires, you can't defend that. Like that's just absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal. I mean, oh my God.
Anik,
Thank
let me
God
ask you
they made
something,
up
right?
for it in the race, yeah, because that was terrible.
Anik, let me ask you something, yeah. Why is Charles so scared to speak up? Is because you work a man now, right? As you do say. Surely you've seen some rumors and like you got some intel that why he doesn't like to speak up. Because how can he's not new, but the new guy per se in Carlos has been like that from the jump, like speaking up, challenging. Look, even in Silverson, he was bad in the teams up. He's like, oh yeah, stop inventing. I can't picture Charles even imagine to say something like that. He was trying to get a bit cheeky on Sunday with something, but he wasn't really like he has his chest really in here. So Anik, you as an amount employee allegedly, why doesn't Charles like to challenge the pit wall?
Well, first of all, with my surname being Palmer, I do actually have Italian roots somewhere there. So yeah, I do have close roots to Italy. But I think
hype.
coming back to your original question, I feel as though Charles is quick. I think he knows he's quick. But I think it's the ability to turn around and say, yeah, look, guys, we're going to do this strategy and actually deliver on it. So let's say mid-race, he goes, oh, you know what, guy? Actually, you know what? Let's go back to Monaco. If they started on they started on full wets and they went, and the best strategy was to go to slick tires. If he had said, you know what, guys, we're on wets right now and the team's telling him come in for intermediates, he could be like, no, I want to go straight from wets to softs. And if he could turn around and say that and actually back it up by winning a race or making that strategy pay off, he could be like, yeah, you know what, it worked fine. But I think from Leclerc's point of view, he might be a little bit scared to tell the team do this or do that and not have it pay off for him. So again, I think it's just a trait and characteristic that he needs to learn. And I'm sure in due course it will come. It has to, because the more and more he's playing, nice guy and Mr. Acceptable on the team, that's just not going to work out for him. And we've seen it. So yeah, that's how I see it. Let's move swiftly on to the sprint race though. Nice to see a bit of action on Saturday, yeah, with the sprint race. George Russell won that as well. Oh my God. The guy, hold on, did he get fastest lap as well yesterday? George Russell got fastest lap.
You cooked,
sprint race.
You cooked.
Hold tight. So he ended up with 34 points this weekend.
Cooked, man.
My
Cooked, Sesh.
God. All right, well, yeah, I'm giving it away. George Russell won the sprint race from Carlos Sainz. Was that the sprint race? Yeah, Carlos Sainz came second. Hamilton came third. Yeah, let me come to you, Chris, on this. How do you reckon that sprint race went? Obviously, with Max Verstappen's tires, into the mediums. In hindsight, that was the incorrect decision, wasn't it?
It was the incorrect decision, but I think Red Bull this weekend just didn't get it right. They didn't. It's a similar situation that happened in Austria where it was a sprint race weekend. They did the setup. It wasn't cooking and they didn't have time to fix it. So it's a case of they had the setup wrong. So they went really conservative with the medium thinking, the soft tires will burn out. They didn't burn out and his mediums fell away as well. So it was looking all kinds of spooky for him. George did what he needed to do, which is basically don't tangle with Magnussen. When fighting Max, keep it clean because, if you're pressuring someone for that long, you're going to get him. So he kept it clean, didn't make no mistakes, and then brought it home. Obviously, yeah, it was a good drive for him. And then Sainz did fighting for his life to overtake Max as well, which led to a bit of contact, which was just the killer of Max's race. That was when he was done. Front wing gone, So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty good from George as well because, obviously Magnussen was going to come down the order. Max got him early, but Max didn't get away. he literally did not get away. George kept him in touching distance, and I thought the longer the sprint race was going on, and I think it was quite a while into the sprint race before George actually got him, and I think he tried a couple of times. Obviously, Max used the power of that Red Bull to sort of keep him at bay down into what's that corner called? Crofty always says it, Acida de Lago or something like that.
Yeah,
I was going to say Juncal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Juncal, that's it. I just wanted an excuse to say that. But yeah, down into Juncal, Max held him off, I think twice, but then eventually George got him there. So yeah, I can't say anything against George for that. It was a good drive. Laurence, talk to me about the guys in 8th, 9th, and 10th. So Perez started 8th, right? Lewis 9th, Leclerc 10. I think it was that way. But they managed to fight their way through the field. They ended up 5th. Well, Perez
Lewis
finished
third.
5th. Lewis 3rd and Leclerc 6th. So yeah, what did you make of that? Fairly straightforward considering where they started.
Yeah, I think so. I think Lewis's pace was quite impressive. Obviously, the Mercedes clearly the fastest car this weekend. I think obviously he picked up the pieces between Carlos and Max, so I wouldn't say any of his moves were particularly impressive in the sprint, but I think it was kind of just damage limitation from those guys. It was I would say it's a little worrying that Charles, every time this guy's behind Sergio, he's just sitting there doing this. What I don't know what it is, because it's not particularly like Sergio's particularly scary opponent. But yeah, that was probably the only disappointing thing I think from those three was Charles didn't seem to be aggressive enough, and spent a little bit too much time fighting with Lando. But otherwise, I think it was just job done from them. There's nothing more to be kind of said, really. I think Lewis did well to hold third, and that was about it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the top 3 teams finished, P1 to 6. There was no, driver that came in there that you wouldn't have expected to.
I would just say that's the problem with the sprint that I have is you get a result like Magnussen and Lando up there, and the sprint just reverses that within 20 laps. It doesn't. And then all that achievement, all that buzz and excitement, and is gone within 10 laps. It's gone. That's a bit I think needs to change long term. But yeah.
Yeah, I suppose the sprint does well for fast drivers and fast cars to make their way through the field, but it doesn't do much for the outliers, the anomalies to maybe hold position. And to be honest, by the time 25 laps or so, it kind of just evened itself out. So yeah, let's move on to the race.
Wait, Anik. Before we move on to the race, there's 2 things, yeah. One, we need to talk about Alpine, yeah, and Alonso's disaster class, yeah, because that was shameful. Shameful. Man blamed Ocon for driving into man on the main straight, bro. Like, Ocon didn't move, he drove straight into man.
Take us through that then.
So at the start, yeah, he tries to go around Ocon on the outside, and Ocon's trying to fight with Lando, and who was Lando fighting with? Maybe Lewis or Checo?
Charles and
I think it was Charles. I
it
thought it was Charles, yeah.
So it was one of those guys, yeah. They're fighting it out, and then Alonso's trying to go around the outside of Ocon, who's trying to make a move, and then clearly they was running out of space. Instead of just giving up, man skids on the curb and crashes into his teammate, damaging his side pod. Then later on, you come out the final corner, you have a run on him, you're in the slipstream, and you go right into the back of your teammate, damaging his car further, damaging your car, and then you're blaming him. And then obviously, you know how Alonso fanboys are. Every word, Mahad. You know the straight is not a straight, bro. They all turn there. Come on, though. Like, I see the comment, man. No. It's a straight that's not really straight. So, anyway, we know the vibes. Like, you know that you have to go on the outside. Let's be honest. Ocon's going to defend his position. You go around the outside. It's as simple as that. The fact he took so late to actually pull out, yeah, is a bit mad. Like, it's your teammate. You give them a bit of extra room when you're competing with them. So I don't get it. I don't get it. It was a disaster class. He moaned on the radio, and then the Spanish Armada, yeah, were all in Ocon's mentions, Alpine's mentions, saying all sorts of horrible things. Like the Alpine, what do you call it? The Alpine account got cooked as much as the GQ account did today, bruv. It was horrible. So,
I'll get onto
that was a disaster class. And also, you know how Anik talked about Mick qualifying last year in the sprint race, made up 8 positions, real driving, real hooping. Yeah, that
was good
hooping.
actually. That was very good from Mick. He ended up quite close to Magnussen come the end of it, didn't he?
Yeah, they were like 12th and 8th.
Well,
Not
recovery
close,
drive
but, you know.
from a shoe.
Advantage, F1 advantage.
We'll speak on Schumacher as well. Don't worry, Chris.
Also, I say one last thing. You see Lance Stroll, yeah, that terrorism is scary, bruv. He almost ended Vettel's career.
That was dangerous. That was real. But didn't you think Vettel was on the grass for a bit long there?
Yeah, because you don't back out, bruv.
Yeah, but what could he have done there exactly? Like, man trying to claw into, like, what's man to do?
I can't wait for Stroll and Alonso next year. It's gonna be pull up and crash. You were waiting for it this year. It will be happen. It will definitely happen next year with those two. Chris, you made a few points when it came to the sprint race. Any more? This is your pod, bro. This is George's.
There's nothing left. I think we've covered everything that's important. Like there's no other major incidents. So yeah, we're good to move on to the race now.
Yeah, actually no. Coming back to that, if you win on the sprint race, does that count as a win? By the way,
depends on who wins.
Sprint race is qualifying.
No one cares, bro.
It's not a win. Okay, so at that point, George Russell didn't have a proper win.
Yeah. So like, let's say if K-Mac had won the sprint race, it counts as a win because that's something crazy. But for the guys, doesn't really count. Fair
enough. But George Russell managed to convert it on Sunday. Well, Hamilton was taken out. Max was out the running. Leclerc was down the order. So, yeah, basically done what he needed to, didn't he, Chris?
Big man, it's the first legal race win of the year. We have the cost cap.
This guy is so shameless. First legal. What do you mean by first legal race win of the year?
That's one more than a certain Ferrari driver.
Yeah, like your boy, yeah,
running
man off the road in with the legal engine. How you have a legal engine? You're running man off the road. What's going on?
That wasn't a legal engine in 2019, by the way.
It was, bro. They signed an NDA, bro. Is that Malcolm Massey, bro? When you're signing NDAs, yeah, you've done something wrong, yeah, and it's a mad thing, but no one can like confirm it. So it's like sign the paperwork, pay a fine, and give over some data, and then we'll keep it quiet. We'll keep it pushing.
Yeah, like Kanye West with the school, he made all the people sign NDAs. So, hey,
I guess we'll never know. That's my rebuttal to that. I guess we'll never know. But yeah, Chris, talk me through that maiden win for George Russell.
He did like nothing wrong. It was a flawless performance. He did nothing wrong. We now have thank you, Celia. We have a better conversion rate than Charles Leclerc. 50%.
Oh my god! Where did that come? All right, you know what? Let's stop. This is nothing.
No.
By the way, this is nothing to do with Leclerc. This is all about George Russell. Please talk to him about Russell. Don't bring any other drivers into it.
Crazy dog.
By the way, Leclerc has wins, yeah, not wins.
But none of them are legal.
Yeah. P2 in the championship. He's P2 in the champ against that institution, Red Bull. He's the only one. He's the only shining light this year. Him and Ferrari are the only ones that have taken it to Red Bull. Where was Mercedes the whole year?
Where was the parts?
Hey, yes,
Marge has returned. So we just got a comment on the YouTube live. Can't believe the luck of that guy. Mark's left the group chat. Was it Saturday he left the group chat?
Yeah, it was Saturday after the sprint.
Come back, Marks, man. Come back. So I think he knew what was coming. But Chris, third time, talk me through that race win. Don't bring Leclerc into this. Just talk me about George Russell.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah. I missed the start of the race my man was in church praying for the Mercedes boys. Yeah, 'cause I was thinking it had to be today, bro. We've had too much pieces of nonsense going on, yeah. And we had Verstappen crashing into Lewis. We had a water leak in George's car, but everything held out, and they brought home a 1-2. All of the nonsense, Lando Norris's engine going kaput, you know, K-Mag and Ricardo having whatever the hell that was. Like, I'm just happy that everything came home. They both drove great. George was flawless at the front. Lewis came through from the back. Fantastic work. Like this, it was real driving, you know, and that you're under pressure from a 7-time world champion, 1 second behind you, made no mistakes. But we can't fault a guy for it. Like, even his setup where he put more wing on the car to be a fast in sector 2, it played in his favor. So every little thing worked well for him. Like, you can't fault him. It's real driving, and the thing that I appreciate the most is at the end of the race, he was the one that bigged up Lewis. You see, the rest of the Mercedes man were talking about, oh, we work so hard. George was like, nah, Lewis was leading this team. Like, he was testing me, pushing me. He's made me better. I respect that. Like, he knows who the guy is, and he's trying to, you know, he's trying to match
he's above
that,
him, but he's above Lewis in the championship though.
That doesn't mean anything. He knows it doesn't mean anything. They've both said it doesn't mean anything when you're fighting for like P5, P6, P4 and it doesn't mean nothing. It only means something when you're 1 and 2 in the championship. Until that day, they're working together to get to the top. Then they can fight. Until
when
then,
so I need to bring it back to Sainz and Leclerc now. So when Leclerc and Sainz were battling for like P5 and P6, and one finished above the other last year, doesn't matter then, does it?
no, it doesn't matter because it's a bit different.
No, it does.
Okay, then it matters. Okay.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton is clearly the number one. It's one of those things where when someone's clearly the number one, it doesn't matter. But when it's what you call it, when you're two young alpha guys, yeah, then it matters. So obviously, yeah, you know.
But George has been leading Lewis the whole season, and he has a race win now that Lewis doesn't in this season. And Lewis has won a race every single year.
Boy, that's on Mercedes. Like, that's on Mercedes. We all watched what you call it, the Dutch Grand Prix where Mercedes shat the bed. We watched in Mexico, they shat the bed again. Like, we need to stop like saying, oh, Lewis doesn't want. But this has been a disgraceful season. And Lewis has carried the team. Like, obviously they've both worked together to do it and both put in work, but no. And also the fact that since Lewis has stopped the experiments, he's outpointed George. I think it's probably like 20 points or something like that off the top of my head. It's about 20 points, the points difference between them since then. So that's most of the gap between the two of them has been since after Canada. So boy,
all I've got to say is that people expected Leclerc to win the championship this year. I expected to be an Abu Dhabi showdown with a certain Red Bull driver, and he's now doing it with the other Red Bull driver. That's all I've got to say.
Okay,
Listen,
thank you very much for that, Richard. I appreciate it. Laurence, let's talk a little bit more about George. You know, he led from the safety car restart. You know, he nailed the pit stops. He made sure he wasn't undercut. He managed to get back to second. Yeah, just talk me through, you know, his sort of driving ability there. What did you make of it? Quite mature, yeah?
I think, yeah, so let's disregard the binning it in qualifying. Let's just say if you go from the sprint, I think quite mature battle with Max. It was quite interesting because I haven't, since F2 anyway, I haven't rated his wheel-to-wheel ability that much. But it was interesting that twice he tried the same thing, didn't work. But on the third occasion, he showed a lot of understanding in the moment. So he set him up similar to how Lewis did last year. Stayed in the slipstream long enough. And it was just, that to me showed, okay, so he's actually learning within each lap, which I think you can get ahead of steam. And, you know, you with Max, to go around the outside is quite a big, almost impossible thing to be able to do. So that was quite impressive. And I think in the race, just everything was thrown at him. So you got 2 safety car restarts, and at Brazil especially, you got such a massive long straight. It reminded me a lot of Lewis doing safety car restarts. It was just timed to perfection. Lewis couldn't react, which is quite surprising. I think just well managed. There was no drama. There was no getting caught up in emotions. There was the one bit I think it was quite funny where my man was begging for his life that they wouldn't fight. The guy was crying.
Radio message, wasn't it?
It was definitely like brown flagged. Like this guy was, yeah, I'm not going to use the words, but yeah, he was sweating. So that was probably the one thing I think was quite, you could tell the lack of experience there, which I get. You're going up against arguably the greatest driver of all time. You're going to want him to just sit there. But then as you pointed out, he managed the gap. Lewis never even had a sniff, and I think that's the greatest kind of compliment you can pay to him, is that Lewis was on fire and he still couldn't dent him. I just think perfectly well managed. It shows how far he's come. Yeah, a lot more mature than some other drivers, which I'm sure we'll get onto in a bit.
Thank you. Last but not least, Richard. Why are you so quiet? That's a comment that came in. Why are you so quiet?
You haven't asked me no questions, so but you don't have to highlight it. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
No, but you jumped in earlier. Are you jumping with Leclerc slander when you want? You don't have to be.
Come on, that's my brand, bro. Come on, that's edited right there. It's my brand, bro. But yeah, but what you want me to ask, Anik? Go on. So about George,
where do you stand with George? Yeah, where do you stand with George? Because you didn't leave the group chat, nor were you propping him up like the greatest thing since sliced bread. So what do you make of George? Where do you stand on him?
As a driver, I am a fan of George, to be fair. I do understand he's had moments this season where he's maybe showing signs a bit of a bozo gene. Kota is one incident. It's been a couple more as well. Obviously, it's been a long season. Can't remember everything. But I think yesterday, at least over the weekend, showed that he is knocking on the door to potentially being in the elite category. I only put Max and Lewis there at this moment in time, to be honest with you. Because obviously there's a lot of debate between him and Norris, who's better. Obviously, some people say Norris, some people say George. I don't think it's egregious if you pick either or. But I think George really showed his class yesterday, really and truly. At least, I know, of course, Lewis had a damaged car and whatnot, but to at least not let him get within DRS range, to be fair. I thought it was an excellent performance, to be fair. I am a fan of him. I do have a bit of prop, but I'm not. As I said, I'm not a mart where I'm like, fuck him, he's going to ruin my life. I'm not like on Chris's level where it's like, I'm going to get him PR 6 feet tattooed on my chest. I'm not like that. I'm kind of like, was it censor right or something, whatever they call in politics.
Yeah.
But he's best of the rest. He's in that below category, to be honest with you. But we need to see if Mick be in the car next year, if he can be in a title battle, if he's in that elite category. He's not there yet, but he's showing small signs that he could be. So yeah.
Because you've been so quiet, Richard, I'm going to ask you another question now. Lewis Hamilton got the Brazilian citizenship this week. A lot going on in the media. Happy for him. The Brazil crowd love him. We love him at Brazil. Last year, what he'd done was monumental. For me, that's probably the greatest Grand Prix I've ever seen. How do you reckon he felt last night?
It's a funny one, innit? Because obviously, depending on who you ask, some people say, "Oh, yeah, he's pissed off. He wasn't too happy about it." Others are like, "Oh, look how happy he is for his teammate." Blah blah blah. I think it's a bit of like a 50-50 because it's like I'm sure he is happy for George in that regards, but there's also maybe a bit of internal frustration that he hasn't managed to get that win this season. To be fair. And it's not really due to any fault of his own. It's just due to, as you know, obviously he's been experimenting early in the season, which he needed to do. And without those experiments, we probably don't get this 1-2 in Brazil, really and truly, to be fair. So at least he can see the fruits of his labor live in the flesh. But I understand if and he's never going to say it publicly. I understand if there is a bit of frustration within him that obviously he didn't get the win yesterday, especially in front of his second home crowd now, to be fair. But there's probably a bit of optimism next year to say, okay, we're on the right track. If we keep up this progression, this developments, we can have a championship contending car for next year, to be fair. And at least he knows he'll have maybe a teammate that'll probably do a better job if need be than Bottas. If it comes to scenarios where, let's say, yes, like hold off Max and blah blah blah, this, that, and the third sort of thing. So it's probably a weird situation to be in, scenario to be in, because it's like you're happy for your teammate, but you're pissed off that you couldn't get that dub. And and you say it's publicly, I'm not really asked about the record, but I think he low-key is though, to be fair. Because it's over a year now since he got his last win, is it? I don't know if it was in Saudi Arabia, was his last win? I think it was. So
yeah. No, I think was it Qatar, Saudi?
I think
it was one of the two.
I don't know. Yeah, it was one of the two. Yeah,
it was one of the two.
Yeah, he's got so many. I mean, he's won races on worse cars as well, so it's probably that bit of frustration as well. But yeah, it's 50-50. But if you manage to get a dub in Abu Dhabi, then he's laughing at him. Anik, froze.
Oh, sorry, I'm back again. It's cost of living crisis. Bro.
Oh, that was okay, yeah.
I had to top up the electric meter. That's what
that one's I say no. You froze just like Charles in the race. Damn.
Oh,
shit.
March just came through and told us that Saudi was his last win. I suppose on that, thanks for all the comments that are coming on YouTube. We see certain people are waiting on certain drivers to be spoken about and teams. We will be doing that. Don't worry. Just one last question on Lewis. I'm going to ask you this, Chris. Did Max on lap 7 crashing into Lewis cost Lewis of a race win?
Most likely, yes. Yes, because it took Lewis from second to 8th. Yeah, I think if Lewis and George were battling for, let's say, the 60-odd laps, Lewis is definitely getting him. Doesn't mean Lewis will gap him by 50 seconds or something crazy like that, but he'll get, man. The pressure will get him. It's a lot. And, like, it's one of those things where it's really unfortunate that we've never, not even once this season, have we ever seen Lewis and George really go at it and like really have a proper, back and forth, just to show man levels, and just to see how good certain men are. So, but yeah, like even Max Verstappen even admitted it's like him crashing into Lewis cost him the race. So it's like one of those things where it's like it cost Lewis a lot, and it's one of those things. I'm tired of that guy and his fans and all of the sorts. But yeah, but it's unfortunate, and like hopefully Lewis is able to come through on in this Sunday, and we all enjoy a Lewis victory properly this season. Like he's deserved it. He's put in the work and he deserves it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, look, he's been in F1 so long, and exactly what Richard said. He's won races in worse cars than that. So, yeah, it would leave a sour taste if you don't win.
I kind of don't agree. It's the worst car ever driven.
As bad as 2009.
I think 2009 they fixed it. They fixed that car and made it good. That's why he capped off some race wins. This one is just.
It's awful. Not. This one's not trash, yeah. I mean, it's coming from me. Like they've led races, they've got pole positions, they've been in, race-winning situations as well.
Just because you have the best two, when you have like the best driver combination on the grid, you pull out some silly results. It's like how last year, when Ferrari had the best driver combination on the grid, they pulled out some extra silly results and then they beat McLaren in the end. The car's not good. it's slow in the straight. It's hard to race. It's like, okay, you can pull good lap time, but when it comes to actual racing, it's
So if the car's
really
not
bad.
good, so Chris, if the car's not good, then did Russell deserve to win the race?
It's one where if this was not a sprint weekend, Red Bull sort out their issues and Max wins the race. But because it's a sprint weekend and they only had free practice one, Merck nailed the setup. Max got it wrong. The Red Bull got it wrong. So it gave them opportunity. And then the Ferrari cooks its tires. So after 20 odd laps, the Ferrari will fall back. So even if the Ferrari are competitive, they'll fall backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a perfect scenario for Mercedes. So again, so it's like, the car's not good. It's gotten, like Kunle said, it's gotten better, but
it's not good. I think it's concerning that your car finally looks competent in the penultimate race of the year, and this is a 22 race calendar, whatever it is. That's my opinion. It has progressively got better, but it's been like a slow progression. So the car's all right because you do get podiums and it has contended for the win a bit, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not great compared to at least previous makes, to be fair. And as I said, this is the first time this season it's not competent. Without Brazil, Anik, like, come on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's yeah.
You know, the thing is,
but then you also got to consider, like, have Red Bull and Ferrari just started focusing, well, for the past couple of months, just focusing on next year?
Oh, Ferrari definitely
have. Of course
Red
they have.
Bull on.
I don't know. What's the point? What's the point in them going for? Yeah, go for it, Laurence.
Just the one thing it draws me back to is if you remember 2020 at the end, obviously Merck had won the title, all clear. But Red Bull, right at the very end in Abu Dhabi, Max won it by 35 seconds or something like that. And it was just the smallest sign that for next year they're cooking something. Now this reminds me a bit of that. Was that 2020 Red Bull car was quite difficult to drive, although they won 2 races with Max. And it just reminds me a little bit of like they've just unlocked it right at the end. Like, I mean, Chris is right about the sprint race, and I don't think they would have won. And Red Bull would have figured it out if it was just a regular weekend. But there was quite a big differential there anyway. So I think if in Abu Dhabi they come again and Lewis wins by however many seconds or Russell, then I think you look at next year and think, right, there's something there. If they finished 25 seconds behind Max Abu Dhabi, then probably a flash in the pan. But it just gives me the hint that they've figured it out after 22 races, which is obviously way too late.
A question came in from Celia W. Thank you, Celia W. You've been in the comments the whole stream, so we really appreciate it. What do y'all think the livelihood of a win in Abu Dhabi? I thought she means likelihood of a win in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, I know. I'm just reading the comment word for word, and then I'm falling onto the correction, which is likelihood. Richard, likelihood of, I'm assuming that's a W13, likelihood of a W13 win in Abu Dhabi.
I don't know, man. I expect it to be in contention, but I'm not gonna say it's a definite dub because Red Bull is still Red Bull, really and truly. To be honest with you, I'd say they can at least maybe get, I don't know, P2. Dare I say it? At least whether they get a dub, I don't know. Maybe George needs to like Clarkson smacks us on. Maybe that's needed, but I'd say they're in decent contention. If I'm looking at the trajectory of the whole season, at least from when the experiment stopped, at least how competent they've been this weekend, I'd say they're in decent contention of getting a win. But I can't say for sure.
Fair enough. We'll see what happens. World champion Max Verstappen will probably want to win the final race of a season that he's basically dominated. Max on Sunday evening turned around and said he knew Lewis Hamilton. Well, he suggested he knew Lewis Hamilton wouldn't move when they went side by side, so he just went for it. He didn't really care, did he, when he went side by side with Lewis? Did he, Chris? He just thought, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna go for this."
Yeah, like it's an actual thing now where he does race Lewis differently to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And before, I used to think it was like a thing of like, oh, because the other people are just as insane as him. Like he knows that if he tries a move with George, George is going to smash him off the road. Or if he tries it with Charles, Charles will smash him off the road. It's the same way that when I watched him in Silverstone against Mick, where he knew that Mick had to get those points, that he just like, I can do this mad thing and you have to back out. I think he's trying to do it with Lewis, where Lewis before used to back out, but now he stopped backing out. They're crashing. And then I think they both know with one another. It's like, I'm just going to do this move anyway, even though I know you're not going to give me space. I'm going to crash.
Simple
I don't
as.
care. So he's just going to keep on crashing into man. And it's quite disgusting.
You know what? Yeah, word to Ant. I think Ant was the one that said it at the start of the year. I think he suggested that Max races Lewis differently than he does to anyone else. And I think we've always had that in our minds, especially when Max has gone battled with George this year, Leclerc. I think even Sainz a couple of times. He does race them differently. And yeah, yesterday just crystallized it. Like, he got given a 5-second penalty, but he just went slam dunk into Lewis, and it was like, oh my god, like you really ruined his race here. But yeah, talk me through what you thought of that as well, Laurence. That incident, and obviously Max's comments, Lewis's comments in the aftermath of that.
Right, let me take this off quickly, because it's kind of twofold. So one, I 100% agree with what Chris is saying, and then you look at if anyone has been racing, he races exactly as you do in karts, and it is basically, I'm here, and you're going to deal with it one way or the other. As you said multiple times, we're going to crash, or you're going to kind of yield and just back out, which Lewis last year did 5, 6, 7 times. I think credit to Lewis this time, he just left it there and thought whatever will be. I do think Lewis could give a tiny bit more space, but this entitlement from Max that he has on the track is bizarre. It's like, I'm here and that's it. And it might change when he grows up. He is only 25, but it's like, you can't just you place your car there, you launch it off the curb into someone and say, well, I knew immediately there was no intention for us to race. So, but then his instant reaction is, then we're just going to crash. And I just think, this is someone who apparently nearly died in Silverstone. To have that mantra is just bizarre. And I think, I think he looks at Lewis in terms of what Lewis stands for. I think that grates him. No matter how often he wants to say you don't care and it's just about the racing, you got to look at who his family is and the comments they've been coming out with lately. At Brazil, he's having a tough time. I think you can sit there and say you're only interested in the racing, and kind of after it's whatever. But I think Max already knows whatever he does on the track won't kind of correspond with what Lewis stands for. And I think he struggles to deal with the fact that Lewis races very gentlemanly. I think probably too much at times. I think that really just irritates him. With Charles is super aggressive, as you pointed out. Russell can be as well. And I think that he respects more. I don't think he respects the way Lewis races, which they're just different generations. So you knew the second he pulled up on the outsides, it's inevitable. Those two can't race wheel to wheel. So if they're battling next year, we're going to get more. It's a brat. It's a bratish type of behavior, which is a shame because, there's much more that he could offer than that. But yeah.
Yeah, very much so, Laurence. I actually agree. to be honest, Max this year, I have to admit, on track, the guy is an absolute demon. Like, I don't know how many times I said it, but when he's got that Red Bull underneath him and it's, you know, set up perfectly, he's actually just too good. He's just too good on track. But you can't hide the fact that sometimes, you know, he's just a bastard, and it was obvious what was going to happen there with Lewis. And even we'll touch on it, what happened with Checo at the end. Like, you know what? He seems too calculated with what he does sometimes. It's like he knew that Lewis was going to there. He knew that, you know what, I'm just going to take him out. And with Checo, again, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew how to deal with the radio at the end as well. When they came on, asked him what he was doing. It was seemed very calculated. Regardless,
I think it might be an ego. Just to speak on that, I think it might be an ego thing, though, with Max when it comes to Lewis. I think because Lewis has been the top dog for so long, I think he wants to almost put out not even a statement, almost like several statements against Lewis to say, "Look, I'm here to dethrone you. I'm the new top dog in town." And I think he does that by being overly aggressive in wheel-to-wheel battle against him compared to other drivers. To be fair, because I think he knows Lewis is more the gentlemanly, sort of like figure in wheel-to-wheel, and he's not really going to try and like Clark man and all stuff like that. To be fair, I think that's why, and I think obviously with these two controversial championships behind him, I think that only just fuels it a bit more. To be honest with you, but yeah, as I said, it doesn't make any sense why. You know, it's a race wheel-to-wheel with George, but Lewis, you're almost overly aggressive, sort of thing, to be fair. And I think he's just going to keep doing that until, as long as they both have competitive cars, really and truly, until Lewis leaves the sport. Because I don't know who's really going to challenge him apart from Lewis at this moment in time, really and truly, unless you put George or Lando or Charles in a top car, like. Yeah, who's really gonna have the capabilities to like go toe to toe with him, really and truly, and like stick it on him? Do you get me? So it's just, yeah, I think it's an ego thing. Maybe he just doesn't like Lewis full stop and doesn't respect any of his records. So it's just one of them, isn't it?
You know, at the end of the sprint, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think at the end of the sprint race, he turned around and said the Mercs this weekend will be unbeatable, and they're too fast. And maybe, I don't want to dive too deep into it, but maybe you saw what happened with Lewis getting the citizenship, you know, being in Brazil. He's the talk of the town, you know, he's Brazil's boy. He saw an opportunity there to potentially overtake him and actually go for the race win. And he probably just thought, I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. I've got the championship. The best result is I'm going to end up ahead of Lewis. The worst result is that, you know, I'm probably going to take both of us out and both of us are compromised. I've got the championship anyway. This doesn't mean that much to me. But again, I don't know what's going through the guy's head. All I know is that, you know, he came out at the back of the grid after that incident because his front wing was severely damaged. And yeah, look, him and Charles. Well, Charles, yeah, he had an incident with Norris, but both of them were able to sort of slice their way through the field as the race progressed. So, yeah, Laurence, talk to me about Interlagos. It is a good track for overtaking, right, and coming back through the field. I know Lewis has done it, I think, back in 2017. So, yeah, it is a good track in that sense, right?
I mean, you know, you got Silverstone, Spa, etc. But if you want a pure racers track, that's number one. And I think there's one of the few tracks that I think they could probably test not having DRS. It's a bit too powerful in the main straight. I think on the second straight, down the hill, fine. But I think the first one, I don't think you need it. I think that's a track where they should keep the sprint at. And that's a track where I think trial no DRS and see what happens in a sprint race, for example. It's got everything you need. I mean, if obviously it's never going to compare, but if you play it on a sim or something, like it's just, yeah, it is, to me, it is the best track. We get the best races there. When we used to have title deciders there back in the day, obviously Lewis, Seb, etc. I don't think there's a track that can match that, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, Max battled his way up and then come the second safety car restart. I think he was about 7th. I think he was about 9th, actually. on a new set of boots. And when you consider he fell to the back of the grid, he had a 5-second penalty. Yeah, he probably just enjoyed coming through the field. Chris, sorry, I had to cough there. Talk to me about Checo's race, because, you know, once the moment Max goes out, you know, we all know that Red Bull's quick. A lot of us, sorry, I've lost my voice. A lot of us, including myself, were hoping that Red Bull could win to save me, you know, the forfeit when it came to the bet. But Red Bull and Checo just didn't deliver, did they, yesterday?
It's not a track with 90-degree corners. He's not going to do anything. He's not that guy. He's never been that guy. I've said it from the first appearance on the pod. He's not that guy.
Checo,
like,
yeah?
Good midfield driver. Deserves to be on the grid. But he's not number one, and he's like, he's just okay. Like, he's just okay. It was fine last year when Lewis's teammate was Bottas. It's been fine this year because Ferrari have been disastrous. But let's say next year, if Merc are serious, and then you have Lewis and George next to Max, he's going to be caught lacking, and it's going to be a question mark. It's going to be one of those things where we're going to stop looking at him a bit more seriously, especially with those allegations floating around from the Dutch media. Yeah, after the fallout, like, it's looking spooky for him. It's going to be looking spookier if he doesn't pick up, because let's be honest, since the second half Red Bull domination, it's been Max. It's only took a disaster class from Red Bull's strategy that cost Max pole position at Singapore. That's given Checo a chance of a race.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't expect much from him, and no one should.
I honestly think when Max is he's on over 150 points clear of Leclerc, I still can't fathom why Checo's still battling for P2 in a car that is so quick. And when you consider Leclerc hasn't won since Austria, I mean, in that rocket ship, he should have had P2 wrapped up by now.
The thing is, yeah, if you look at the history of guys in top cars where they win like 10 more races, generally their teammates always number 2, apart from Mark Webber, who's another bum. But like, let's be honest, him finishing first to Fernando Alonso twice is actually disgraceful. But like,
yeah,
Barrichello, when Schumacher was smoking everyone, he finished P2. You know, Hamilton, when he smoked everyone in 2019 and 2020, Bottas was P2. Like, Riccardo Patrese with Nigel Mansell finished P2.
Mm-hmm. So it happens.
Like,
and you just think in this car, it really should.
It
like,
should.
And you know, let's talk about it. Come the end of the race, you know, the last few laps, as it is, Checo's tires were cooked. He had mediums, Max had softs, and he was in a quicker car, and he was, you know, in a position to overtake Checo. And you know, I think the agreement pre-race beforehand was if Max was in a position to help Checo for P2 in the championship, then, you know,
it wasn't beforehand. It was made up. That was made up on the fly.
Okay, it was made up on the fly then.
So it was made up on the fly, and they called basically what they did was they called Max to beat up Leclerc for Checo's sake, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, because Max had to overtake Max, who was in, I think, 7th at the time, had to overtake Perez, who was in 6th, overtake Alonso, who was in 5th, and overtake Leclerc. So if Max had overtaken Perez, he had to overtake 2 more cars before he had taken points off Leclerc. So yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so that wasn't happening. And then when Perez asked for the position back, begging for the position back, he fell short. And, you know, it's something like him begging for the position in the sprint race was pitiful enough, because you weren't even next to man. It wasn't like, oh, Max had damage and you were in DRS. You were like 2 seconds off. Like, why are you begging for position when you're 2 seconds away? And then in the race, like, I get the position. Max is a dickhead, and he's a brat, and, you know, we can't let that slide because, like, you've won the championship. You can give up a position. I don't care about politics. Like, at least if, you know, if it's not a race win, you can give up the position. It's whatever. but Checo needs to do more and be better.
He's
So-
a bum. That's what it is. Is a bum.
Welcome, Kunle, to the
It's a
stream.
He's
So let's-
twerking out here twerking for 2 years, and what do you get back in return? A
Nothing.
little P. He couldn't even get a little P5, bro. See that man, yeah. First is cheating on his wife, then he's getting
Damn.
bodied by
Allegedly, like sponsors, yeah. These are the words of Kunle and Kunle's, not the
bro.
brand.
This is Kunle on the stream.
No, Chris, let Kunle cook, man. Kunle cook.
Bro,
cook up,
whatever they said he did that shit, bro.
Hey, you want a my car? Don't blame him, fam.
I
I'll
ain't
do the same thing.
I mean, Billy to the game still. I get it.
Billy.
No,
But
no,
yeah.
no. It's Monaco, not Miami. The babes weren't there. Like these are Kwame babes, not my babes.
Look who...
Hey, it might be good Kwame, babe. Who knows?
Wait,
Shit.
shout out Becky still. Shout out Becky.
Yeah.
Shout out
yeah.
Becky and Hannah.
Yeah, but Checo, man, he's been bumming it since he got to Red Bull. Like the excuse initially was, oh, he's trying to get used to the car. The car's built for Max, yada. But it's like if there's someone that's gonna win the race, that's not Max. Let's think about it, right? When it was Mercedes on top, even though Bottas was bumming it out, I can say it now. Bottas was bumming it out.
Now you
Even
can
though
say it.
Now I can say it. Now I can say it.
He's
I'm
seen the
not,
light.
I'm not backing him no more. I'm not backing him. Even though Bottas was bumming it out, he wasn't getting beaten. He wasn't getting beaten by two other teams. But if there's anyone that's gonna be able to beat anybody, it's never Checo winning the race. It's always Max first, then maybe the Ferraris, and then there's a possibility that one of the Mercedes might even beat Red Bull. There's always that possibility because the Mercedes had like a good race car on a day where, when it's not like straightforward Max, that sort of a thing. Now, yesterday, firstly, how do you let them put your mediums when everybody in the race knew the mediums were trash? Like, how are you finishing the race on mediums? Talking about, oh no, we only got.
I don't think he had a set of
Hannah Schmidt
softs
sees the
left.
holder.
That's
No,
his
see,
fault.
they had a spare. No, they had a spare extra one for the race, and he did actually use them.
They did.
Yeah,
No, but they used them already, though, didn't they?
No, I mean they used the mediums for the sprints to have an extra one for the race, extra sauce.
No, wait, no, Checo was on.
No, Checo wasn't
Checo
soft in the
didn't.
sprint. Checo wasn't soft in the sprint.
He was on softs in the sprint.
But
Oh, sorry, we saw Max. Sorry.
It was only
talking
Max
about-
that
I
had
was
an
talking
extra set.
Only Max had, but still, like I'm sure he had used soft that was like 5 laps old. Like
Potentially,
when Lewis and George got on softs, they were not fresh scrubs. They were scrubbed. They were like 6 lap scrubs or something like that.
exactly. Yeah.
Same thing with Sainz. Sainz too had like used scrubs, but like once that safety car came in, the most vulnerable person was always Checo. It was so obvious. But it even looked like Alonso went past him, no?
Yep. Alonso got past him.
Hey, you can't be. I mean, you can't even like. I remember in the sprint they were begging. They were saying, "Oh, why did Max not let Perez pass?" It wasn't even close, brother. It wasn't even close, and it wouldn't, bruh. It was like way off. So are you telling me like 2 years later? How many wins does Checo has this year?
2,
2,
3.
2.
3.
No, it's 2. It's 2.
No, he had one at the start, and he had one very.
Didn't he get
early.
Baku? Who won in Baku?
Who won Baku?
Max.
Shit.
Max won Baku.
He
right?
he was ahead in Baku. Yeah. So he's got Monaco and Singapore.
Yeah.
Wait, I swear he won before Singapore though.
Monaco.
Did he know
No,
when-
the
did he
season,
Monaco.
no.
Did he not win Saudi or one of the earlier like?
No, Saudi.
He got pole in Saudi.
Qualified
He
pole.
didn't win it.
He got pole. Oh, now look, he's got 2 wins, and then your teammate is like running off the championship. Like he ran off of your teammate's got like the record for the most wins in the season, and you don't
He
even have
should
the
have
most.
secured P2.
You don't even have the most. You don't even have the most P2s. That's how bad it is. I don't think he has the most podiums. I've not looked at it, but if I look at it, I'm sure it doesn't even have the most podiums out of everyone else. And you're out here fighting with the Monegasque Maldonado for P2.
Hey,
Crazy dog.
hey, easy, Kunle.
It's a bit,
Crazy
it's
dog.
a sticky situation. Like the man don't even drive around you don't even drive around his own ends properly, and you're fighting for P2 with him.
Not
Can't
nice,
drop us
Kunle.
Louis Vuitton properly.
Yeah, that's not. Mad,
But-
that's not my goat still. Mad.
But
Can I have one more thing? One thing. You know, in quali, yeah, when Leclerc was on medium, when it was on intermediates, yeah, Checo couldn't even get past man on soft tires.
Yes,
man.
I was.
What you
That was
doing?
crazy.
Oh yeah, he
That
couldn't
was
get
crazy.
past him.
Like, what's this guy doing? What's this guy on? Like, why do you just overtake? Like, what are you talking
couldn't
about?
believe that.
Complaining
That's a good point.
about Charles' Inter. Just overtake, man. Like,
Did you see what Helmut Marko came out and said after that?
What did he say?
He just come out and he's going, we had a big problem, and he just got on to Perez about not being able to pass, and he was like, you know, Perez can kind of moan about him being there, but yeah, just overtake the guy and get on with it before you start crying about. Yeah, I mean,
Really and truly, like he could have gone past before things lost the car. Apparently, he had sector 1 was the fastest. I don't give a fuck about a lap that wasn't completed.
You know what? Like, you know, in this section we have been, you know, on Checo. But what we saw today was like all this sympathy, like everything he's done for Max and this, that, and the other. And we will come on to that on the back of Max's comments. But I still firmly believe that he should have secured P2 in the championship. When Max has got 15 race wins and you've got 2, and then even in those race wins that Max has had, you've not even been close enough to secure that P2. Yeah, it is very worrying. And then you're pleading on the radio, you know, to get given back the position so you can get P2 in the championship. And now you're level on points with Leclerc going into the final race. Yeah. Richard, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, do you know what it is as well? It's that obviously Checo at the start of the season, he looks like he finally, you know, was able to match up to Max, and people are like, oh my god, yeah, maybe freeway title race and all that shit, yeah. But it's only because at the start of the season, the car was more oversteady, which is what Checo likes, and you know, Max prefers a car that's more pointier front ends. But even still, Max was still kind of like beating him here and there, really and truly. And of course, when the cars developed more and more, it's became more of a front end car. It became more pointier, which is more suited to Max. That's not on purpose, but obviously, when you want to develop a car, you want to make the car faster. Therefore, in that time, Checo's been unable to adapt, and it just basically went backwards. But there's no point in making a car built around your number 2 driver. I mean, you can easily just concentrate on your number 1 driver, really, truly. So it's on Checo, as you said, Anik, that he's not secured P2 because he's been able, the cars are suited him that much, really, truly. And he's put in some really bad performances, stinking a joint out, whether it be in quali, whether it be in races. You know, as you said before, you couldn't guess past Charles on the intermediates. Like, what the fuck's all that about? So, yeah, it's really interesting. It's just adaptability, and Checo ain't got it like that. And we know his 1 lap pace is awful anyway. So, boy, it's, you know what I mean? He shouldn't be contended for P2. Should be secured already, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad Sunday for him, and to be honest, it was compounded come the last lap when Max refused to give back the position. So just a bit of background to this: at the safety car restart, you know, Max was on quicker tires. He ended up behind Perez. He overtook Perez. Max, you know, was coming home P6. Whether he finishes P6 or P7, you know, doesn't really make a difference. And I think the team said, look, you can get ahead of Checo, but probably got to give the position back before the end of the race. By the time they crossed the line, Max crossed the line, and they came on the radio asking Max, you know, what happened, and he basically refused to give the position, and he said, you know, my reasons why, which triggered so much over Twitter. People were saying that, oh, Max done it because he remembered what Checo done in Monaco. People were bringing up all the times when when Perez was, you know, supporting Max in 2021 and even this year. So yeah, Chris, man, talk me through that. Like, well, we know what Max is like, but yeah, what did you make of those comments and the exchanges after the race?
This is what happens when you make the deal with the devil, bruv. You make a deal with the devil, it's gonna come to bite you in the bum, bruv. Like, Max isn't this way. Max is a phenomenal racing driver, but he's not a good guy. and everyone knows it. Like people like him for his racing drive and the fact that he's a prat. So he's not a good guy. He's never pretended to be a good guy. Like, you know, the ones where like we've had insane drivers in the past. Like, you know, the people they like to compare him to Michael, but we need to realize Michael might have been a terrorist on the track, but there's a good person in there. Max, there's no good person in there, bro. He chose pumps over
It's true.
moles, bro. How's your stepfather doing up racism, and then you just be like, boy, Kelly's nice though, still. Bro, he's not a good guy. He's not like, I don't know what Checo expected. He's been this way from the jump.
This is what I mean. The guy is just, you know what, like P6 or P7, it doesn't make a difference to him. You have the championship wrapped up. He went out of his way to do that. Now Laurence has been cited in Dutch media or whatever that he remembers what happened in Monaco when Checo in qualifying deliberately binned it before they go into the tunnel. So I don't know. From Max's point of view, do you think that's true? Do you think he's going to remember that far back when he's absolutely dominated the championship since? And if not, why did Max do that? Why?
No, I mean, one, no. It's not like Max hasn't won at Monaco. He obviously won there the year before. And if it is, like obviously Crashgate happened. Like it's a thing, yeah. So if that's what it is, and he's drawing attention to Perez apparently crashing on purpose, what kind of worms is he opening for P6? Like I don't think it's nothing to do with that. Like Richard pointed out, his ego. It's just an ego trip. He obviously don't rate Perez at all, and that's clear. And I think it's just, don't ever ask me to step aside for this bum. You know, if he obviously had confirmed P2 or whatever, you know what? I think even then he probably might have stepped out the way, just because he sees him, you know, with some level of respect. I think for Max, is basically, don't ever ask me to step aside for someone who is nowhere near, you know, even being in the same league as him. Yeah, that's all it is. I think it's that thing of don't ever he can't ever finish behind his teammate. I can't even recall when Max has finished behind him. Yeah, but the one thing I didn't get in all of that is why it's only taken until now for Perez to come out and go, you know, it shows what kind of guy he really is. Like, how has it taken until now to figure out who he is? Like,
because
this guy
he's not Laurence. He's not that guy. He's
like,
not that guy.
That's the bit I don't get. Like, the guy's one is supported, obviously, certain racists. The guy who has opened up clearly and showed that his father was abusing him when he was a kid. Obviously, it instigated some racial abuse towards Lewis. I just think, how has it taken until now that he didn't give you P6 to figure that out? That was a bit, I just found it was a bit comical. But it's just an ego trip with him. It's nothing to do with Monaco, because then you're opening such a can of worms that they're cheating.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just Richard.
Actually, I was gonna say I have a theory why, because you know how Mahad says, you know, Checo chose podiums over unemployment. You reckon he chose those checks, yeah, just to fund his dad's political career? Because there's no logical reason. You've been a Formula One driver for like nearly 10 years. You got millions in the bank, bro. There's no reason you have to fall down this low. Like, it doesn't make, there's no logical sense, bro. Like, come on, man.
Chris, you gotta remember, this guy was a paid driver, man.
Yeah, he's got Carlos Slim money behind him.
No one wanted him though. Like, he needed to bring in money to get a drive. So he's not that guy. Like, bro, unemployment over, bro. I don't give. Look, Laurence Stroll came in. Laurence Stroll said, "You know what? I look at you. I look at my team. I look at my son. I don't want you here. Get the fuck. Boy, bye. No Casamigos for my amigos. Boy, bye. You're not wanted here."
No Casamigos for the Casa-Freak-Hoes, no?
Hey, that's the one time still.
Oh, what was that? What was the pod title?
It's a-
Casa-Freak-Hoes. I'm not telling you where I got it from. But yeah.
Look, Perez. Look, yeah. See, Perez chose this. He knew what he signed up for. He knew what he signed up for. You know, the minute he got into that Red Bull set, he knew he was always going to be the second driver, regardless. Even if, look, Perez could be leading the race by 30 seconds. If Max is P2 and it needs to be P1 by the end of the race, they're gonna make the call, brother. If you're gonna halt your car on track or drive into the grass or go off track, Max needs to win. We don't give a fuck what happens to your race. We need Max to win. Look at Abu Dhabi last year. I still say it. They picked that man. They ended his race so that Max could go through on purpose. Like it didn't need to. Like they're just like, you know what? Your job here is done. You've held up Lewis. Gracias. Go into the pits. Your race is done. You don't even need to be P3 at the end of the season. You don't need nothing. We don't even care about constructors right now. Go. We just want Max to win. That's what it is. So I don't know. Everyone expecting Checo to come out next year and be on some Rosberg hype. Nah. You know what it's gonna be? Yeah. You know that picture of like when they say when you're talking, when like your babe's talking on the phone and she has like the lion emoji.
Yeah.
And she's like a lion. And then when you step up to her and she's like a little cat. You know, that's what it's gonna be like. It's gonna be like from lion to like a little house cat. Like, he ain't gonna do nothing because he knows he tries to make a move. Red Bull got like 20 drivers they can replace him with. Them man don't care about constructors. I promise you. They act like they do, but they don't care. Horner just wants to see Max be like the greatest driver ever. He tried to do it wants Max to do everything Seb done and more. So that at the end of it all, no one's gonna say Seb was the prime Red Bull driver. It's gonna be like Max replacing Seb as like the greatest Red Bull driver of all time. And Horner is gonna go to sleep looking at the Max thing on the wall, you know, the Max poster. He's gonna be looking at it, smiling and happy. That's just what it is. Anyone that supports Perez and thinks he's gonna come back next year, nah, you man are joking.
You know what it is? It's literally as simple as that. Like, they don't care about P1 and P2 in the championship. Like, they've got P1, they've got the constructors, they've got the driver's title. Okay, fair enough. They've never ever got P1 and P2 in the championship. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Chris. I know you would know, but I'm sure.
Alonso used to slap. Alonso used to slap one.
So
it's like P1 or P2. No.
So it's not. So be honest with you, I don't really think it means that much to them. Fair enough. They may have said that to Max afterwards, "Oh, team orders and this and that," but they don't want to piss off Max. He's their golden boy. You know, he's the golden child. They're going to do whatever they can to make sure he's happy. Now, Richard, on that point, with Max sort of being the golden boy at Red Bull, MaxiPad manager leaving with Horner and Marco. I'm assuming that means should Max stay on with Red Bull? I don't know. We got a question there from Mary. Do you reckon that's what she means by that?
Wait, say Max
MaxiPad manager leaving with Horner and Marco. Does that basically mean that Jos Verstappen leaves? Should Jos Verstappen and Max continue at Red Bull?
No, I think she's just saying like maybe they left the track together, but like they're in.
Oh,
like, that's how close they are. Like,
okay, well, yeah, that's my point exactly. He's a golden child. They're not going to upset him that much. You know, they're not going to want to piss Max off. And at the end of the day, you know, he has the final say. Sorry.
Maybe they called just to tell him off. You'd be like, we can't control him. Like, want to call your dad and be like, you know, get your dad to tell him off. Like the karting days, bro. Just leave him at a petrol station for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
What, like a Shell or Texaco?
Nah, leave him at the airport. And take the private jet. Leave him at the airport.
Shit.
Make him fly commercial.
Yeah.
He's on with the half capacity.
Thanks for that, Mary. Chris,
Fly
question for
by
you,
an
though. We've been discussing Checo. Final question on him, because I don't really want to talk about Ferrari, but we have to. Is he going to get P2 in the championship?
That depends on Ferrari. It's not on him. It's on Ferrari. If Ferrari want to do dumb stuff, then no. But if they want to be if they want to be serious for once, I reckon Leclerc's got it. So we'll see.
Let's see. Will be interesting. Let's talk about the Ferrari boys. Mixed weekend for them. I'll be honest with you. It seemed like they had a fantastic Sunday, but
hold on, Anik, what was mixed about it?
I think the fact that
you put Leclerc on Inters when everyone was
so that's what I mean. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It started off shocking.
My man was in front of the queue, looking at his mirrors, looking at the defender. I was like,
you know,
that's me, brother.
You know the ones you could go to a track in. It was a wedding and tracksuits, and everyone's their suits and boots. You're like, oh shit, Put the Palm Angels on for no reason. Oh shit,
bro.
Man, so they had an opportunity, to really be up there. And they messed it up on Friday. And then when you consider Leclerc had a broken front wing coming together with Norris, which I thought was absolutely criminal on Norris. Like Leclerc was clearly ahead of him, and he oversteered into him. Leclerc recovery drive. You want to see a recovery drive, people? That is a recovery drive in Brazil that Leclerc put on.
It's better than the one he did in Canada, Anik. There we go. You have your recovery drive.
Yeah, well. I mean, there you go. I mean, to be fair, Leclerc just beat himself, didn't he? I mean, he done one of the best recovery drives in Canada, only to beat it yesterday. So, and that wasn't spoken about enough. He started on the wrong side.
No one gives a fuck. That's what was spoken about.
Battled his way. I'm the only one speaking about it.
Yeah, you and all 10 of y'all little studs. No. That's why. Who gives a fuck?
Anik, listen.
He ended up P4.
Anik, listen.
So
I can't believe.
What a drive from
sorry,
Charles.
just to tap in real quick. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think Alonso's might have been a bit better, but carry on. Sorry, Kunle.
Alonso had a better recovery drive.
He did, but he
started. I'm Charles Leclerc. I can't do it. I can't give Alonso credit. No,
he did get lucky with a safety car as well.
They're both my ops. What you want to do, Chris? Fucking hell.
Both of my ops still, but one of them drives for a Ferrari, so that's bigger up. I mean, but yeah, Anik, wait, let's speak about Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, and the institution that is Ferrari.
Actually, no, wait, Kunle. One question quickly, yeah. I know that a lot of the McLaren fans and the Lando fans were getting onto George for terrorism. Can you explain Lando's actions on Sunday to Leclerc, please?
It happens, and you get one of that.
And you're in the comments. You explain.
You get one. He gets one of that season, like
And then he DNF for good measure as well.
He got his penalty. So, bro, Lando was driving on a bad foot. He was not feeling well. It is what it is.
When I'm sick, I don't come into work. If I die, they'll replace me the next day, bro. They're gonna replace you the next day.
That's the dog in him, bro. That's the dog in him.
That's the dog in him. What do you mean it's a dog in him? You know what? He's about to become next year the driver with the most amount of points without a race win. Imagine that. And then he done up that terrorism
and the worst immune system, bro.
Yeah, exactly. He's always ill. Get some paracetamol or something. Actually, no, that's harsh.
Wow.
I apologize. That's harsh.
If Lando sees this, he's gonna take you on the kneecap, bro. Don't do that.
Well, I've got a walking stick as it is. Literally,
coming from the guy that dropped down the stairs. You're talking a lot of smack,
bro. But listen,
you don't even drive.
I've got a voice and I've got access to the keyboard. That's all that matters.
Okay.
But no, I didn't mean that comment. It was just it was said in haste because of what
you can't even drive. You can't even drive a golf cart right now, Anik. Why you're talking too much, bro?
I'm hobbling along. Yeah, I'm hobbling around like a.
Anyways, back to the Ferrari. Back to the Ferrari boys. Anik, at the start of the season. No, actually, not at the start of the season. I recall a certain radio on the pit last year that said, "Don't worry, next year we're gonna have fun."
Yeah,
at the start of the year it was meant to be a 2-horse race. I mean, with the prancing horses, right? Can you explain to the listeners and to the lovely people like that will be listening tomorrow and the ones currently watching right now, why Ferrari would be finishing third, not first, not second,
Third.
but third in a 2-horse race. You know, like kind of explain.
Tottenham in 15-16.
I mean, it's going to be. They will not be finishing third. I promise you that. Like, there's no way Mercedes is going to swing that amount of points on Ferrari next weekend. It's Abu Dhabi.
Oh.
It's where Ferrari world is. You know. We got a lot riding on it. Yeah.
Wait, is that not the same? Wait, hold on. Is that not the same track that a certain Spanish driver couldn't get past Petrov?
Yeah.
And the championship decider.
I was just driving off the track, bro.
That is
Cutting bare
So,
corners,
you've been catching L's in Ferrari world for a few years now. You think it?
I've not been a Ferrari fan for that long. I'll be honest with you. So it's one of those. Anyway, Kunle,
what team were you supporting that year?
What in 2010?
Yeah.
To be fair, I think I was supporting Ferrari.
Check your list, bro.
Check your list.
Was it McLaren? Was it Renault? Was it Ferrari? Who knows? Might be Mercedes.
Listen, at the end of the day, F1 is the ultimate winner. I love racing. That's all that matters. And I love overtaking. About it.
Yeah, but Ferrari are trash.
And you know what? It was fun this year, Ferrari. It was beautiful. It was fun. But we just came up against an illegal car. That's what it is. We're going to end up P2.
What's been Anik, can you read off your Ferrari results since the end of since the technical directive came out? What's been Ferrari results?
Yeah, it's been Red Bull wins and a Mercedes win. Yeah.
And you've not won the race since then. Whoa. You've not won a race since the technical...
I'm the host, by the way. Don't do that. You can't... Don't do that. This is my show. This guy got a confidence. He wasn't even supposed to be on the stream today.
You know, I wouldn't miss out on a Ferrari slander, man. Come on. I live for it. So technical directive comes out, and your team goes from you guys keep going backwards. I test conspiracy theorist. I would say you guys had the illegal car all year long, and technical directive kind of fucked you guys up. What do you say to that?
We didn't exceed the budget cap, definitely. So
bro, we're talking about technical directives. We're talking about budget.
We didn't have we didn't have an illegal car either, because if I can see somewhere that we had an illegal car, I'll put my hands up and say we had an illegal car.
Well, like you admitted,
you know
guys.
What?
So sorry? why did the technical directive hurt you more than it hurt Red Bull?
Not really. I mean, if you look at our results since the technical directive, what it came in.
So one second. Let me pull it up. I'm looking at the F1 website right now. Let me look at your team, your drivers actually. When did technical result come out?
It came. Listen, just chill out.
What was the first race after
it came out
result?
in Belgium. Okay?
Belgium.
And ever since Belgium, okay, from Netherlands to USA, we've Charles Leclerc.
Netherlands. Charles Leclerc. Wait, Anik, listen. It's your show, but I'm just gonna reel off the results. Netherlands third, Italy your home race. You couldn't even win your home race. Second, Singapore second, Japan third, United States third, Mexico sixth, and Brazil fourth. Why have I not been seeing those P1s?
You know what? It's if you look at our aggregate points total across that time, we've actually put together a good string of podiums and a good string of points. Because hold on, prior to that, Leclerc was not DNFing. Yeah, we were DNFing prior to that. Yeah, and that's what was costing us big time. So now,
prior to that, you had two DNFs prior to that. Okay, you had 3 DNFs prior to that.
Yeah.
How many of those were Leclerc's own fault?
It doesn't matter. We put together consistency, and we've been consistently delivering since the technical directive. So if anything, it's made our car more reliable, Kunle.
I mean,
so you can say what you want.
I do recall, and when you want. I do recall a TikTok video from Pitstop Fracas. Shout out Pitstop Fracas, that has a fail comp for Leclerc, and it includes him just going off on his own. No one behind him, no one in front of him. He's just going off track.
How can I be?
How can I be homophobic? My bitches. Anik, you know that tune, right?
So listen. Anik, I'm really not with it. I'm really not with it with music. I just found out about Lost the other day. That's a good song, by the way.
Wow.
Yes, I had it. I heard it on the radio. I heard it on the radio, and I've just had it repeat on Apple Music for about 2 weeks straight.
Anyways, Anik, I do recall
Yeah.
we have a bet. If Mercedes finish ahead of Ferrari, you're donating £100 to a charity of my choice.
I am down already. There's a cost of living crisis.
I do not give a. I don't. You can call your cousin.
Kunle,
You can call your cousin. It's the Prime Minister.
yeah.
Hedge
I
for
don't
life.
care. But yeah,
Call your cousin. He's the PM. That
Yeah.
should be the pod title.
Ferrari are modded. I love it. You know, I cannot wait till your old institution rest in peace. And next year you're going to be finishing P4 again because McLaren are going to be back up, and you're going to be trash. That's what
Well,
that's
I
what
think-
I've got to say.
I mean, I think if you look at the trend, you know, we came P3 last year. It'll be P2 this year.
Not P2
Who
this year.
knows?
You're gonna be P3 this year.
Who knows? Who
You're
knows
gonna
what's
be
happen,
you're
Kunle?
gonna be P3
No.
this year.
I love how this Pitstop Fracas podcast, the penultimate one of the year, has ended up in absolute chaos because it was only supposed to be me and Chris. Yeah, by the way, it's only supposed to be me and Chris on this podcast. We
Pull
had
up
Laurence
on
jump
half-hours.
in at the 11th hour. Big up Laurence. And then Richard all of a sudden was backstage and he thought, you know what? I'm gonna hang around for this pod. Kunle's arrived. Now Mahad's on the scene, and we got Champagne Nam backstage.
Oh, don't bring him on. Oh God, you're just gonna start going on about France and shit. Oh,
Champagne.
Welcome to the live stream, Nam.
Bonjour, bonjour, ça va?
Yeah. We.
Oh Lord.
Hey, Anik, where's my champagne?
Well, your champagne, you're getting Carver. Mahad, how are you?
I'm not getting no cover, bro. You know what I'm getting, bro.
I'm not saying anything because I just want Anik to look at the profile picture.
Yeah, I know. Look at that profile. So for the people who joined audio listeners, Mahad's joined the live stream with a picture of what is that? Just like red and
That would be a fair.
blue
That would
stripes or
be a
something.
fair.
I don't know what that's trying to
That's
say.
supposed to
Trying
have
to
been
do,
in
so.
on the airplane strip of Paul Ricard, bruv.
What
Oh.
You can't even bin it in Paul Ricard on sim racing. Lawrence, can you confirm?
Okay.
Can you bin it in Paul Ricard on sim racing?
Bro, no way.
Hey, it's confirmed. This guy makes the Super
I'm
GT.
never-
It's confirmed. Boy, scary house for your boy, Anik. I know
All right.
it's this aggravate points thing. Yeah, you sound like an Arsenal fan. You know when you do the tables from like February to
The
like
calendar
October.
year. The calendar year
Yeah.
table, yeah?
Yeah. Look at the top, bro. This. That's what you sound like aggregate points. You don't start at it. Come on, bro.
Right.
You're
Second half of the
best in
season.
this.
Second half of the season, we're top. I'll just say that or something. Yeah, I think it was a mixed bag for Ferrari. Sainz done well in the sprint race. He done well in the race. He showed good pace. Leclerc, great drive to battle his way through the field. Done loads of pit stops, and I think the safety car helped us. We just got to do the best we can.
Can I ask a question, Anik? Can I ask a
Go for it.
question? Why is Charles Leclerc asking to swap positions with somebody else on the podium, please?
Crazy dog.
You know what? If you don't buy,
Why
a ticket,
doesn't
you
he?
don't
Why
win the
doesn't he just simply overtake him if he's the faster driver? Like you say?
A lie?
Wait,
Just
I
go
think
straight.
I remember. I think I remember what the Ranger said. Think of it. Every championship point. Think of the championship point, bruh. Why shamelessness?
Kunle, you did Leclerc a disservice because you said that way more feminine than you're supposed to. You know what I mean?
Right, he's French. It's his accent. It's his accent.
But why is he begging for team orders to finish second in the championship? Who cares about second in the championship?
Yeah,
I know you alive them times. Who came second in 1974? Tell me.
Oh,
Nobody
Fifth
cares.
apart. Oh, no.
No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. I agree with you, man. No one cares. But look, it's a long shot, innit? He won the podium. If he was going to get it, he was going to get it. He didn't get it. And you know what? He didn't have a quick enough car to overtake Sainz because his tyres were on for so much longer than Sainz. So he was never going to get him.
Don't let me fact check that. You know.
Please fact check it. Please fact. Leclerc had those tyres on for a while.
The last race, he was talking waffle about engines and being faster in the straight and that, and then I checked the telemetry and that. I've got access to the data, bro.
Please, Mahad, you weren't even supposed to be on the pod. We can quite easily put you backstage, but I'll let you be.
Anik,
I'll let
answer
you
the
be.
question. But why was it?
Talk to me about Daniel Ricciardo. What happened with Danny Rick yesterday? I mean, come on. What the hell was that? He decided to dive bomb, was it K-Mag? And then he tried to make up for his error and he ended up going into him. That was absolutely crazy from Danny Rick, man.
Danny Rick will no longer be in the sport after next week. This time next week when we're sitting there, he will no longer be in the sport. So, and I think that's maybe the reason why, because he tried to do up dive bomb against K-Mag, who's going to close the door anyway. He misjudged it. Cost us points once again, even though he don't get us points in the first place. And it's well and truly just sealed Alpine's 4th place in the championship. So, yeah, good riddance. I don't know what reserve drive he's going to do next year. I don't know.
Hasn't he got a job at OKX?
I don't know, man.
Bye-bye.
I heard he was selling.
He's selling crypto
Australian. I heard he's selling Australian chef knives on QVC next year.
Yeah, he's selling crypto, isn't he? That's what he's doing.
That's a bad game right now. You have to sell the chef knives, bro.
I thought you get a job at Optus though.
Optus? Why you? Bro, this ain't the job center. We're not gonna find him a job.
Regardless,
he's no longer a McLaren driver. And look, it's just testament to Lando Norris. He's just been doing a one-man job, fighting for P4 in the championship. On his once
double
again.
DNF from McLaren though.
Double DNF from McLaren. Everybody watch McLaren Fan TV tomorrow, 10 minutes.
Make sure you tune in.
I'm gonna be on that too to speak on Danny Ricciardo.
Right, say no more.
Woo! Yeah, so yeah, make sure you tune into that as well. McLaren flying the flag. Mahad flying the flag for McLaren.
Anik, when
I join you, Mahad?
Anik, when are you going to be a McLaren fan again?
2026.
Oh no! You can't do that. You can't do that. I heard you're transferring to Williams.
I ain't transferring to Williams.
You're not doing
95. What are you about?
I ain't transferring to Williams.
Were you not supporting Williams with Damon Hill?
No. I'm not that old.
Bro, you're old.
You're never in them. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, you was.
You spawned him when Alan Jones was there.
No.
You met me, Alan Jones. 1980 world champion. Women's first world champion. You remember that?
Wild, but I'm not gonna say anything.
You watched. Come on, Anik, man. You watched it on ITV Sports back in the day.
No, I didn't watch that. I watched Mika Hakkinen, and that's what enticed me to the sport. Actually, it was Murray Walker.
I heard Anik's trying to get Andretti in so you can follow them. I heard he's part of the negotiation team.
No. But when Audi come in, be careful.
Anik. Yes. Come Audi.
No.
Yes.
No.
Audi.
Tell him to stay away from Audi.
Fuck Audi.
That's a prestigious car company. You can't be going and messing up their things like that. They're too new for him to be.
Listen, the Anik curse is real, isn't it? You know, like you guys know about the Anik curse.
Yeah, ask Buffalo Bills.
Let's be honest.
Hey, now switch off your Sky Q, man. Come on, man. What's going on? I could hear your TV.
I'm at work, bro. Look, that's how dedicated I am to this, bro. I'm at work, man.
You're watching Sky Q at work.
No, I'm not. I do that. They don't Sky Q at work, man.
Damn. Hey, that tax can't pay for itself, boy. Rise and ground, you get me?
Stop giving them, man, your money. Anik, I've just got a couple of questions for you. How was your experience as a Ferrari fan this year? Was it better than your experience as a Mercedes fan last year? How was the transfer?
Oh man, it's been tough.
Grazie ragazzi.
It's been fun though. It's been fun.
Has it been fun though?
Was it a step up? This is a sideways. This was a sideways.
No, it's a step down,
because
bro.
I celebrated race wins, not no flash.
You celebrated 4 race wins.
Yeah.
Look, not in the Forest celebrated wins this season. Doesn't mean that you should go there.
No, man, this is a heritage
Hey,
team.
there's
The
who's
most
there, so
amount
you
of
can go there.
championships, most amount of constructors. Come, it's a heritage team. We're back next year, and we fought against an illegal car. You know, we're trying to save face. We're trying to save face for the 2022 season. You know, Red Bull running away with it. We're here, showing face, trying to do something.
You want title contenders 2022, innit? Well done. Congratulations.
Put the pressure on FC. We'll make some luck.
Yeah. Hold on. And what about Mercedes? What do they do? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The
I
next
don't
race,
know.
or the
I don't know.
Oh, the track's too bumpy. It's a street circuit.
I don't know what they did this season. All I know is that I want some champagne.
Carver.
Mate, I'm telling you now, yeah. Next week, if I don't see a Moe on that table, goons. That's all I'm saying. Goons, bro.
No.
Goons.
Yeah, Carver.
But are they going to take both of Anik's sneak ups, yeah? And his chains.
I've got my walking
That's
stick.
why
please.
he's got the walking stick, because he put
Told
100 grand on Charles winning the championship. And then that's what's happened. Guys, don't gamble. Gamble responsibly.
Please,
Gamble
please gamble
responsibly. Know when to stop.
You know what? Yeah,
Guys.
do you know what? He pretends like he's back in Charles and stuff. Guys, we have a little predictor thing going on amongst the cast across the year, and I'm in charge of it, and I get everybody's predictions for the races and stuff. Yeah, this guy barely says Charles is going to win the race. I think he said Charles is going to win the race once this year. I'm exposing him.
Oh Lord.
Hey, please.
He's been
I'm
betting on
immortal.
Max the whole time. You've made a lot of money this year.
Anik, seeing as we're all here,
I've actually made a lot of money on F1 this year. Wait, Nam, go on mute. We don't want to hear your Sky Q, man.
It's not
Carry on,
Sky
Kunle.
Q.
Now you gotta go, man. People are trying to listen to this audio, man. You gotta go.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna go. All I'm gonna say is, Anik, you got the link. You know which champagne that you need to get me. The fans are waiting. They need to see it. They need to see it. I need to
they'll
spray
see
some
it.
of that. All right, cool.
Yeah, they'll
Are
see
you going
it.
to play in the studio,
Peace.
yeah?
Oh, I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna mess it up. I might do the Lando thing and everything. See you later, guys.
Peace.
Young shit.
Anik, speaking of you this season, you know, people that listen, people that follow us on Twitter, there's a popular hashtag, where's Anik? And you seem to like avoid a couple dates, you know, couple podcasts, couple messages, and you know, on certain weekends we don't even hear from you, we just see a location. I've
been about. Look, listen, 7 of my friends.
Anik, can I finish?
Man thinks he's Dave and being a boy.
Bruh, I don't know. You're trying to do a world tour, like you're not Wizkid, bro. Relax. So, Anik, can you explain to the people why do you seem to like go away on the weekends where Ferrari have a howler or Charles has a howler, but you seem to be actively.
Wait, Kunle, can I add to this?
Yeah.
My description, my picture for anybody that's listening or watching is Charles Leclerc in France in the wall. And was you like in Portugal? I saw you dropped some random location when this happened. You wasn't not in the UK.
I'm a culture guy. What can I say?
Fly out of the country.
Yeah.
And drop
I'm
the
a
location.
culture guy. I'm always on the move. I was unfortunate at the hospital yesterday, and you guys were coming for me. I told you, just give me a little bit of sympathy. I've had 7 weddings this year. 7 weddings this year.
Interesting.
That I've had to go to, and you know they fall on the weekend, so it just happens like that. I can't choose my friendship circle.
You got married. You got married 7 times to avoid.
No, I didn't get. I went.
Shit, crazy, yo.
Crazy boy.
I've had to go to weddings, innit? I've had to go to weddings. So it is what it is.
I've got a follow-up question. Anik.
Kunle, please. This is my podcast. You keep asking questions about me. We want to find out about the race.
This is about.
It's not an Anik review.
The season's over. Max has won. Ferrari's gonna finish P3. Leclerc will finish P3. You know, let's just do this is not a season review, but I've got a question again. Like, you know,
send it in as a listener question. We'll ask.
I'm here right now, right? You seem to have Lewis.
I'll drop you from the stream. I'll be honest with you. You keep asking too many questions. Anik, why this? Anik, why that? Anik, why this? It's not an Anik podcast. I can create my own content if I want.
You
this
can
is about pit
do
stops.
it then.
It's about Brazil Grand
Do
Prix.
it then. Do it if you're back.
I will do it. This is about the Brazil Grand Prix review, and you're asking me where I have been the whole year. We'll do that.
Nobody wants
Jordan
Jordan Henderson content, bro.
What are you talking about? We got the whole off season to talk about me.
Okay.
About Brazil.
All right. Okay.
Let's talk about Brazil.
Speaking of Brazil, you still didn't answer the question. Why was Leclerc begging for P3?
It was if you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle. Simple as. He thought if he could get it, he could get it. If he didn't, then he didn't. But regardless, he didn't have the tires to overtake on the racetrack. That's the way I see it. FIA had an absolute howler with their whole lapping system again. Chris, what was going on there? Because we saw at the safety car restart, Yuki was like in the sandwich between, what was it, Sainz and Alonso? No, Sainz and Perez. Because he wasn't told to unlap himself, and obviously it's an automatic system. Originally, I was like, why isn't Yuki unlapping himself? But it did say on the screen that, oh yeah, only 2 cars, and I think there was a 2 Williams should be able to unlap themselves. So what's going on there? Like, it's been like a catalogue of errors now since the start of the year of all these things that they're trying to address from 2021 that they're not addressing. So the fact with this 50% races, you know, all of this stuff going on. So yeah, that was a howler, wasn't it?
Basically, after Abu Dhabi, they have a software set up to get everyone to unlap themselves. And they sent a message saying Albon and Latifi could unlap themselves, but Tsunoda, who was in between them, didn't get the message. And then he didn't go out of his way to unlap himself because obviously that's dangerous. You don't do things like that, you know. And basically, he started unlapping himself once they clocked it was a bit late. Then they were just like, no, stop. You're not unlapping yourself. You just have to hold that and be a lap down when everyone else is on the lead lap again. It's a one big farce. Like, no one in the FA have common sense. To quote a terrible man, Flavio Briatore, we have a bunch of amateurs running our sport right now. And it's really shameful because, Physic, I'm not a Yuki fan. I'm out here, you know, doing agenda against Yuki Hive. But to do that to him is like, it's not fair. And it's like, it is a bit like they're bullying that kid. And it's like, yeah. I think Laurence has something to put on it as well.
Yeah, it's just they definitely bullied him a bit because, to be honest, they could have held it one more lap and he'd gone back round. But with that track specifically, obviously the pit lane's really long and actually the pit exit. So he came in and the safety car line is just before the pit entry. And obviously the pit entry has a little chicane on it anyway. So he went in and basically the safety car trail, when he's come in, he's still on, he's a lap down. But by the time he's come out of the pits, he's now on the lead lap, but he's still in the queue. So in theory, he's still on the lead lap. He had technically unlapped himself in the pits.
Yeah.
So it's like a technical thing with that track specifically. So obviously by the time he's come out, that's why he's had to sit back and let everyone go. But I mean, yeah, they pretty much bullied him into saying, you shall not pass. And he's obviously just had to go straight to the back of the queue. But it's just that track in particular has got, obviously, yeah, it's just a pit lane. So, I mean, yeah, obviously they're still not learning from what happened. But I would cut them a little bit of slack just for that.
Yeah, I think I think because it pit during the safety car, I think that sort of messed it up. Like, it messed up like where it was. Maybe like, I think he pit, then he unlapped himself or something within that range. And then, because like I remember when they said on lapped cars could go by, and I was like, wait, where's Yuki? But I think probably because he had pit, the software probably didn't pick him up that he wasn't on the lead lap. So, you know, that just yeah, FIA is still a farce.
I think in that situation, all they had to do though, while obviously they were going around before safety car comes in, is just say, pop to the back, just let the cars past and drop before they go. Obviously, when they go green flag, because that was so dangerous. You just sit hanging there on the straight, doing 2 miles an hour, when they could just do that a lap before. It's just, yeah.
I think it's just another example of the way in which they're trying to bring in these new directions from last year. Abu Dhabi unlapping themselves, 50%. 50% points being awarded after 2 laps or whatever. It just still needs a little bit of refinement. Yeah, Laurence, have you got like a ticking time bomb in your where you are? Because whenever you come on mute, it sounds like, you know, you got like a little ticker there. So I guess on that note, we're going to evacuate and finish up the pod there. It's the Brazil race review. If you haven't already, please make sure you follow us at Pitstop Fracas on Twitter. Follow the link in the YouTube description and the audio description for any merchandise coming towards the end of the year. So I'm sure you can pick up a good deal. Make sure you use our Fanatics link. What else is there? Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. And yeah, please make sure you leave a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. A review goes a long way to helping us out with the algorithm. We'll be back next week. Final pod of the year. It's got a special one in store for you. So yeah, please stay safe, look after yourself, and yeah, until next week.
Oh, to all the George Russell haters, hold that. Boy's a race winner.
There you go.
I love this game.
We'll wrap it up with those comments from Chris. Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.